AP Computer Science A, Unit 2, Lesson 3, calling void methods with parameters. This lesson will go over calling non-static void methods with parameters. Parameters are values that can be passed to a method. We saw in the previous lesson how void methods without parameters are used. I simply wanted to add a player. If I want to add a player, that makes sense that I want to update the number of players by 1. End game. That means I want you to end the game. Do whatever it is needs to be done to end the game. Other times you want to call a method and pass it information so it will do something. It doesn't know what to do without that information. So here's our animal class, or a new animal class. And it has a number of things. Let's take a look at it. Okay. First off, it's got our instance variable, and that's just what type of animal is it. We have 2 methods that we can create this animal with. If we don't know what type of animal it is, we just create it as a new animal, and its type is unknown. Otherwise, we can pass it what type it is as a string, and it will be whatever that says. So everything above the red line are things. This is where we instantiate it. Okay, we create it, instantiate it. I'm not going to keep writing. We don't call these per se other than when we call new. Down here are our methods that we're going to use to do things with it. Now notice that our animal can talk, but if it talks, it's requiring an integer to be passed to it that is the age. If it says its name, it needs to know what its name is, so you have to pass it its name. And getInfo requires an int followed by a string to be passed to it. And then it calls the talk in the same name. Now, let's take a look to see what this does. If we have animal, Milo, and we instantiate it as a dolphin, that means that over here, let's do this. We come over here and private string type, we said that it's a dolphin. Great, so that's what Milo is. So Milo.talk4 goes to Milo, comes down to talk, it passes it the value 4. So then Milo does I am 4. So it should output I am 4. Fantastic. Milo.talk, and we don't pass it anything. So we come down here, Milo.talk, I don't know what to say. There's nothing passed. This is empty. This is going to be an illegal call because the talk method needs a parameter. It's expecting an int. There's no talk method without a parameter. So you have to pass it the int. Okay. If that's not clear, make sure that you ask questions. If the method not only has to match in name, but the type and the number of parameters. Okay, if you don't pass it what it's expecting, it doesn't know what to do. Now we come down here. Animal Queenie is set to new animal rat. Fantastic. Now we have rat. So our type is rat. And then we have Queenie.sayName. Notice we don't refer to rat. We use Queenie because that's the name of the variable that holds this new type of animal called rat. That's a rat. So Queenie.sayName gets past queen. We come down here, say name, we're passing it in queen, so it's going to say, my name is Queen. Boom. Now what about Gus? We've got this lovely animal called Gus. And Gus doesn't know what kind of animal he is. So he is our unknown animal. I don't know why it's not. There we go. It's not doing this. There we go. So it's unknown. So now Gus.getInfo 3 Gus. Going to pass it 3, and Gus Gus. Talk, A. Well, A was past 3, so we're going to pass 3 to talk. So it should say, I am 3. Great. It says, I am 3. Then system.out.println. It's going to print a line. And then it's going to call say name. And what happens when you call say name and you pass it N, which is Gus Gus? It's going to say, my name is Gus Gus. And that's done. Then we come down here to gus.talk5. Well, let's just get rid of this stuff. Don't know why it's so hard to erase here. Okay, so now we call gus.talk, double quote 5, end quote. We come over to talk. Here's our problem. It's expecting an int, and we passed it a string. What's going to happen? You're going to get a compile error. This is illegal since talk requires an int. Then you try, and the compiler won't let you go any farther. The next one, gus.getInfo, Gussie, comma 4. We're going to go to getInfo. Oh, but here you're expecting an int, and you were passed a string. It doesn't understand. Then you pass it an int, and it's expecting a string. Again, doesn't understand. This, too, will cause you to get a compile error. This is illegal since the parameters need to be passed in the exact order. So things to remember. The values provided in the parameter list need to correspond to the order and type in the method signature. Order and values passed are important. If it doesn't match the order and the type, you will get a compile error. Okay? It will not compile. You will not be able to run. Now let's look at overloaded methods. Methods are said to be overloaded when there are multiple methods with the same name but a different signature. The compiler only is able to distinguish between the amount of parameters and their types. It does not distinguish between their return types or the variable names. So here are 3 methods that are overloaded, and overloaded legally, if you will. Okay, we have void print area int x, int y, and double x double y. They all have the same name but different signatures. The first one takes a single int. The second one takes 2 ints, and the third one takes 2 doubles. Remember, it doesn't matter the name, okay? The compiler is only able to distinguish the amount of parameters and their types. So there's 1, and it's an int. There's 2, and they're ints. There's 2, and they're doubles. So all of these, the compiler can very quickly and easily know which one you're talking about based on the type, the number and type of variables you pass. So if we take a look, what happens here? You declare num1 and num2 both as integers and give them the values of 5 and 4 respectively. Then you declare 2 doubles, num3 and num4, and give them the values 2.5 and 3.5. Print area num1 is passed a single parameter, and so therefore that single parameter will go to this print method and output x times x, which in this case is 5 times 5, 25. Looking on your notes, you'll see that print area num1, num2 is passing 2 integers, so it will multiply those together and output 20, because 5 times 4 is 20. Print area num3, num4 looks very much like this second line, but num3 and num4 are typed doubles. So instead of running or executing this gray method, where it's receiving 2 ints, it's going to execute this method, this print area method that receives 2 doubles. It will multiply the x times the y and divide by 2. So here, 2.5 times 3.5 divided by 2 is 4.375. Multiplied the parameters, then divided the product by 2. Now, remember that you need It can't be different names. Parameter doesn't pay attention to the variable names for overloaded methods. It's the number and type of parameters. So let's take a look at these. You're considering adding the following methods to the same class as print area. Which of these are valid methods for overloading? Well, I want to add public void print area int z. Can I? Well, this guy up here is already an int with one variable. Remember, it doesn't care what the variable name is. So this one is going to be illegal. No, Java doesn't distinguish between variable names, so this one won't make any sense. This one can't be added. Public int print area int x. Java does not distinguish between return types. Right here, int, instead of returning nothing, I want this to return an integer, but Java doesn't understand that when it's overloading methods. Private void print area int z. You think that's going to work? No, Java does not distinguish between modifiers, private and public. That doesn't matter to Java when determining overloading methods. Remember, it's the number and type of parameters. That's it. Public void print area double W double P double X double Y print area. I already got it. Java does not distinguish between variable names. If I wanted something else here, okay, I would need a different number or different type of variables. Okay, so none of these over here would be overloaded. These are the only three. That concludes lesson 3.